Staying with Daybreak, we're starting that discussion right now. Let me introduce my guest one more time. Arnold Maliba is here, Head of Public Policy and Public Affairs at the UDA. Thank you so much for making time. Buka Omole, Vice Chair, Communist Party of Kenya. Asante sana for making time. Jerika Higa, National Youth Leader. Thank you very much for making time. And Paul Mugambi, Policy and Governance Expert. Asante sana for making time. On the dailies, it's a wash with what's happening next week and what's been happening through the last week. DPs fight back inside Karen Nav Center after shock impeachment by MPs in an impending Senate trial. Regarding Gachagua has hunkered down in his current residence with the best of political, legal, and communication minds to fine-tune his arsenal that involves an aggressive defense and offensive in parliament, courts, and in the political arena. On the Daily Nation, Ruto's call and failed attempts to save Gachagua. What's alleged is that, according to sources privy to the discussion, President Ruto said to his deputy it was estranged, that most MPs were estranged by his abrasiveness. He also accused Mr. Gachagua of fighting government policies and not publishing projects being implemented in Mount Kenya. But even more grave, the president is reported to have alluded to a scheme by his deputy that was the source of their irreconcilable differences. Buka, let me start with you on this. So your reactions first on what's going on right now on the impeachment of Gachagua. Is it right or is it wrong?
First of all, the impeachment of Gachagua must be understood within the fullness of the Kenya Kwanza government, that this is a scheme just to distract, when the government is facing a crisis, they can choose to do two things. Either they can address the issues that the majority of the Kenyan people are asking them to address, or they can choose such distractions like what they have chose to do. Basically to tell Kenyans that the deputy president is the biggest problem, while we know his boss is the biggest problem, and he's just the principal assistant. So who did the deputy president assist to commit crimes in this country? Because constitutionally, the deputy president is the principal assistant to the president. So these motions that are being put in the August House, particularly not just the impeachment, look at even the anti-protesters bill that has been tabled in Parliament, look at the extension of President William Samoei Ruto's term in president. All these are unnecessary distraction. But allow me to take also this opportunity to tell the Kenyan people that, Gachagua decided to drag the Communist Party of Kenya in their wars with the president in Parliament, and in Karen the other day when he was addressing the people. First of all, I want to remind the deputy president that the people he has been meeting are not representative of the Communist Party of Kenya. The former MP of Mwandawiro Mganga of either, of Taita, and Benedict Weshera, the failed political, leader, cannot help him to win the Communist Party of Kenya to support him. And thirdly is the crisis in this country is not the crisis that they want to actually bring out in the leadership. Because the crisis that we see between Gachagua and Ruto are individual differences. Particularly, they are competing probably who stole more or who indeed cut what deal. But the Kenyan people are not interested in those shenanigans. We would like President William Samoei Ruto to save this country from anarchy.
Okay.
And to save this country from anarchy, it means that the President William Samoei Ruto is the biggest threat to, sustainable peace. Okay. So if President William Samoei Ruto wants to save this nation from anarchy, he should resign together with his deputy president with a clear roadmap to the elections.
Paul, is this an unnecessary distraction, or is this a crisis in leadership from what you view?
Thank you very much, Trevor. I think we need to be serious, because now if we start taking the issue of the impeachment of the deputy president as a small issue, it's a very serious issue. It's a serious governance issue, it's a serious political issue, and it even affects the stability of the country if it's not resolved as soon as possible. So just to comment on what my brother, the leader, one of the leaders in the Communist Party, said, the person on trial at the Senate is the deputy president. If someone else has other ideas about how to impeach the president, that can be started in the National Assembly as well. Nothing stops anybody from doing that. But for now, we focus on the issues. Also, let's not meander and talk about issues that are not on the table. There are 11 charges before the Senate, the accusations against the Deputy President. I think objectively, those are the issues that we need to canvass, because they're, for the next 1 week or so, those are the issues that will be on trial. That's against the Deputy President, the person of the Deputy President. So I think it's important to focus on the issues at hand. And just to say that it's true, the country faces a myriad of challenges, so many of them. And I wouldn't elevate one of those issues to be above the other. All these issues are important. So let's address all those issues individually and collectively as a people. There's no issue that is so important that it shouldn't be elevated against the other. Fine, we have all basic freedoms of speech, fair play. So we can say all manner of things, but in the end, there are processes and there is the law. Yeah. So we need to be focused on the most important issues, but again, we need to look at what processes are there to address the issues as we go on.
Okay. Jerry, what do you make of this impeachment motion?
Thank you so much, Trevor. First of all, for me, I've always said that the impeachment of the Deputy President was not really a priority in this nation. We have more burning issues that I would have expected Parliament and any other person who purports to be having the goodwill of the Kenyan people to have raised that first, because I don't understand why we are talking about the impeachment of the Deputy President when we know clearly when we had an issue of fake fertilizer, the same Parliament let go the CS, or who was in charge of agriculture. When we had the issue of brutal killings of the young people during demonstrations, the same Parliament did not want to impeach the CS for interior. So when we look at it, and when we have had issues with our health insurance and our health status in this nation, our education has been on the deathbed, and nobody has initiated any impeachment against any other government official. So when you tell us that
let her finish. I'll give you
when you tell us that the impeachment of a Deputy President is a priority in this nation, it looks more of a political call, because understanding that a whole Parliament sat down on a certain day to impeach the Deputy President, but the same Parliament was not there yesterday, that we had to adjourn the Parliament because we did not have quorum, it means that these people have taken politics as a priority. And I keep asking a question. If at all these charges that the Deputy President is being accused of, if at all they can substantiate them, is the whole Parliament willing to also allow Kenyans grill them on the properties they have acquired over the years of them being in active leadership and active politics? Is again the President also willing for us to question his wealth over the years he has been a Deputy President and the years that he has been a President? So for me, I look at it like a case of the President running a dry run on how much he can be a dictator. So for him to test if he can really work out as a good dictator, he had to prove to Kenyans that, you know what, I can also impeach the Deputy President and nothing is going to happen, because all through we have not even had him ask the Parliament to give the Deputy President a benefit of doubt. We have seen him quiet, and yet we know this is a very, very big issue that is not only being discussed in this nation, but also on the corridors of international our international relations. So to me, I look at it as not a priority. I wish we were seeing a Parliament that can come together when Kenyans are raising more fundamental issues. If the Parliament was this intact when Kenyans were raising questions about the finance bill, we would be at a better place as a nation. So to me, the impeachment was not a priority.
Okay, Paul, I'll come to you to reaction, but let me hear what Maliba has to say about this. Maliba, what do you make of this impeachment discussion?
Thank you, Trevor. I think before I just voice up and add my voice to this, it's important to just deal with a little bit of preliminaries. First of all, at the time the Communist Party was signing an agreement with Kenya Kwanza, Buka here was suspended. He's been struggling with the leadership and fighting. So he might not be in a position.
In fact,
just wait. You'll respond. Buka can therefore not say that the Communist Party that signed the Kenya Kwanza Alliance is not the Communist Party that he belongs to. So he should actually also find his space and work around there. Secondly, Njeri must stop running with the hares and hunting with the hounds. Because in one line, she's asking for accountability, and in the other line, she's actually calling down the people who actually are trying to do the same. So you cannot eat your cake and have it. Quickly, now on this, whereas it's true that the issue of the impeachment is a small issue, but it's a preliminary issue. It's a housekeeping issue for us, and we think that we need to dispense with it so quickly, because looking at what it is here is that actually, if our constitution allowed us, we would actually have dealt with it at UDA, at Hustler Center, and saved the nation this particular process. But we gave ourselves a constitution in 2010 to the tune of 67% voting and support that gave this power to Parliament. So, was Parliament doing its work? Yes. That is a pre-trial chamber. It has cleared that particular issue to go to the trial chamber, which is actually the Senate. So if anyone is actually asking for Parliament to do its work, it's doing part of what is its work. The Deputy President, for example, has 11 charges leveled against him. We all live in this country. We have had a feeling, and the newspapers have reported for a long time, that there's a little bit of distraction, a push and pull. So for purposes of housekeeping, this issue needed to get out of the in-tray. Parliament has actually cleared with it. The Senate should also clear with it, so that then the nation can actually get onto the firm path. You know, issues of governance can actually not be played with, where we're talking about the president and national policies. Let's talk about 25th, for example. The president addresses the nation. We see a different address from Mombasa, putting the nation in a situation that was a little bit quite tense. It, for the first time, felt like the Cherera and the Bomas press conferences on that day. So, yes, it's true. It's a small issue. It's something that we need to actually clear with. Like I'm calling it, it's housekeeping for us. But it's a preliminary issue that we need. You see, before Booker put on his coat, he actually had to probably put on a shirt inside. So, whereas he wanted to look black, inside he had to do a shirt. So, the same thing we are doing, just doing preliminary so that we move on. But at the same time, there are so many bills, there are so many motions, there are so many policies that are actually on the order paper. Government is running as usual. This is just an issue that the newspapers have decided to actually give a little bit of space. But there's so much that is happening in Parliament. It's not like Parliament is not working. Then finally, in defense of Parliament, Trevor,
it's a small issue.
Then finally, in defense of Parliament, the following day after impeachment, people who worked up to midnight. As in, humanly, you wouldn't say that it's something that is big and there for Parliament. A few of them actually made their way to Parliament. But remember, these are parliamentarians. They worked, some of them past midnight, then had to wake up in the morning. They have got other issues they attend to. They have got people in the constituencies always calling and reaching out. They had so much things to deal with. So an hour, a delay for an hour or two, honestly, you can't beat Parliament for that. I think we shouldn't conflate these issues and go out and make them too elastic.
How do you think impeaching a deputy president is a small issue?
I think, like I have told you, it's housekeeping. For us, it's housekeeping.
For you as...
Which house?
Our house as UDA, our house as Kenya Kwanza.
But the deputy president does not only serve UDA. This is a deputy president of a whole nation.
Before you elected him, it is UDA that actually cleared him and Kenya Kwanza. So you do not own him more than us.
So are you saying that you own the deputy?
So preliminary,
the Kenyans?
Is this the same issue of shareholding?
Yeah, exactly.
That's not shareholding. That's a mix-up of issues because, you see, it is the constitution that allows political parties to nominate candidates. So how is that shareholding? Trevor, how is that shareholding?
It's a fact that it's parties that were elected.
Yes, so how is that shareholding?
But then this is a national leader.
He is a national leader the same way Parliament, like for example, my member of Parliament from Matungu, he's called a member of National Assembly, but he still represents Matungu.
But this is the deputy president we're talking about.
But this is not this is not an older PR show.
You see, this is the thing. This is the thing, Trevor. They have actually argued that it's not a priority, and I'm telling them that whereas it's true, it's a small issue, it's a housekeeping issue, but it's a preliminary.
No.
Okay, let me hear what Buka has to say.
You know, Maliba, I understand that your duty is very difficult, especially to defend a man.
You can't speak for me.
In fact, to defend a man who has martyred 60 young people of your age. That is something that you really need to take seriously. And if you sleep about it, knowing that some 60 dead bodies were killed in Parliament, and you boldly come to this national TV, only proves one point, that at a critical point when we want to change this country, some people who also are youth want to betray. You are the home guards that were fought for when we are fighting for independence.
Trevor,
but secondly,
you need to tell Booker to put his hand down. This hand is so violent. Let him put this hand down. It's too wild.
Secondly,
this hand, and he's making wild allegations that are challenging. No. Tell him to put his hand down.
It's an expression that he has.
There's too much passion.
The conversation.
Maliba, you know, the death of innocent Kenyan people, mainly from poor backgrounds, is not an issue to come and make a show of it here. That is why I'm passionate about it, because every election time from 2007, 2013, 2017, 2022, and now the GNZ uprising, young, innocent, poor people from the background are killed by the Kenya government and government militia and opposition leaders. But some people think that when they come and defend such a criminal, then they are more youth than others. But let me go to the other thing that I wanted to respond about, that the MO of UDA has been to disrupt the constitution, even interfering with the political parties. Just because President William Samoei Ruto and Gachagua has money, they cannot think that they can move to the Communist Party and buy two heads to defend their illegitimate government. The Communist Party of Kenya is not Mwandawiro Mganga. The Communist Party of Kenya is not Wachira. These both heads cannot be the sinking ship of UDA. Let UDA cut their own coat the way they fit it. So interference, in fact, look at Parliament. If we look at the...
How many MCS do you have?
Hold on a bit.
How many MPs do you have?
Maliba.
How many governors do you have?
Maliba, do you want me to speak or you want to intervene?
Yes, I actually wanted to intervene.
So hold on. So the second and the most important thing, that when Kenya Kwanza came to government, remember the first thing that they did was to step on the very constitution that established political parties. It basically means that through their own initiatives, they made sure that the people that were elected on different tickets, including ODM, were actually interfered with and brought into government for them to get dictatorship in parliament. So this idea of talking about objectivity in parliament is neither here or there. President William Samoei Ruto has one MO. He has one policy that he wants to dictate the parliamentarians by making sure that he has a majority through hook and crook without even negotiating with the conscience of the people. The second and the most important one is, even though he runs the judiciary, he still wants to interfere with even though he runs the executive, he wants to interfere with the judicial processes. Okay. What we are calling on people like Maliba is to stay true to the cause of the youth in this country, to make sure that they can stand on their feet and say for a fact, for a fact, Trevor, what we are trying to tell the Kenya Kwanza government, that they sold us a project. They sold us a bottom-up project. They sold us a project that was meant to give people free quality healthcare for the poor people. Okay. It is not happening.
But are you able to separate these issues? Because what's on the table right now is the impeachment.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What you're saying is that
they all agree that there are issues. They are being addressed.
Trevor, we are only saying that you cannot separate Ruto from Gachagua. This is a government, in fact, the deputy and the president is one. One is the principle of the other. In fact, the popular opinion, maybe because UDA is always alienated from the base, but the popular opinion that the Kenya Kwanza bus must fall on its own, plus the hired mechanic, which is Raila, who has been with it.
Trevor, hold on. I have been accused of grievous...
That's fine. I'll give you a chance to respond. Jerry was also mentioned. You also mentioned Jerry, and then I'll come to Paul. So let's take a quick break. When we come back, I'd like to hear your views as well. At Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya, use the hashtag Daybreak. Yes, in political discussions, tempers flare a bit, but it's just a conversation. They're all just very good friends, so don't worry. We're back in just a bit.